Hello and welcome, friends. My name is Lynn, and I am super thrilled to be releasing the Easy Wonder Die Number 3 collection. And I am so grateful to Jamie at the Not Too Shabby Shop for giving me the opportunity to design another in the series of Easy Wonder dies. We're up to die number 3 now, and this collection is bigger than any of the previous collections. I have learned so much about a variety of different things, and I'm so super thrilled to get to offer some new things to the collection. And part of what's new is what is going to be available on my website, lvhandcrafted.com. And I've got a couple new things that are part of this collection that are only available at the Not Too Shabby Shop. So now you'll have even more places to shop for Easy Wonder products, both physical and digital. So let me first show you just one quick example so that you can get an idea for what the theme of this collection is. It's all postage themed. So here are a couple of cards that give you a little bit of an idea for the different elements that are part of this collection, including a postage grid and some fun digital art that I will be making available on my website, and a postage stamp that's part of the collection, a set of stencils that's new to this collection as well. And so that's just a quick sneaky peek look at a couple of cards. I'm going to be showing a lot of card samples to give you lots of ideas for what you can make with this collection. Now, this is going to be a rather long video. I'm not going to do any crafting. I'm just going to tell you about all the things that you might want to know to make a good purchasing decision, so you know whether this collection is for you or not, what all the things are, what all of your options are, and where to find them all. So I'm going to dive deep into what the die actually cuts out. But if you are new to Easy Wonder dies, these were originally based off of my mini one-sheet wonders, where I show you how to cut a single sheet of 6x6 pattern papers and turn them into a number of cards. In the case of Easy Wonder die, there actually is not a mini one-sheet wonder that I've put out myself. I actually started with the die first, and I'll go back later and put out a mini one-sheet wonder. Easy Wonder dies number 1 and 2 were based off of mini one-sheet wonders, but now I'm going a little bit in the reverse, where the die is coming first and my printable is coming second. But what you'll find is a single die designed to smash your 6x6 paper pads. On the back, you're going to find a couple of card sketch suggestions. And these card sketches show you, well, if you've cut your 6x6 pattern paper and you have all of these elements, what do you do next? And if you just flip to the back, you're going to find that if you follow these sketches, you will have used all of the components that this die can cut out for you. So that is our main die. There is an add-on die that gives you some mats and layers that coordinate with some of the elements that the main die cuts out, as well as some additional standalone elements. And really, this entire die set is standalone. None of this actually is dependent or reliant on you having the main die. And so you have your Happy Mail sentiment here, a couple of postage themed elements, and probably the die that I think is my favorite in this set is this one right here. It looks a little bit unusual, but what this die actually will do for you is cut out a postage stamp border. I don't know all of the dies that are on the market, but I have not seen one yet that does what this die can do. And so I think it's super unique, super versatile, and it's going to allow you to create custom size and even in some cases custom shape postage frames and postage border frames. So really, really love that. More on that later. A first for me is a set of 2 stencils. These are 6x6 stencils called Easy Postage Grid and Border. You have a component here that lets you ink up a background in your postage grid that the main die will cut out. I'll show you how to use this component here, which is your airmail border, and this component here gives you some really fun bokeh effects. Now, one thing that I don't have in hand that I can show you is the masterclass series, where I actually show you how to use these 3 components, whether you just have the main die, you have the main die and the add-on, or you just have the add-on, and how to use and stencil all of the design components that are part of the stencil. The masterclass series, when you go to purchase the Easy Wonder dies, gives you real-time instruction, something that's a little bit different to my previous classes that were offered with Easy Wonder dies. This video is filmed in real time. It's over 3.5 hours of instructional footage by me, giving you all the tips and tricks I know for using and crafting with this collection. And I break it up into 4 different modules. Module number 1 covers the main die. Module number 2 covers using the add-on with the main die. Module number 3 covers using the add-on standalone, and I spent a lot of time showing you exactly how to use this unique border to create a custom frame that's any size that you want, like this one here, or you could make an entire card front be postage shaped. Then module number 4 shows you how to use the stencil, all of the various effects. So the airmail, you can, I'll show you how to do that, how to stencil a background, and how to create that really fun bokeh effect or a really fun just polka dot pattern. And so those are some of the cards that I'll show you how to make in the masterclass, but that is an option when you go to purchase. Then the last part of the physical products that is part of this collection is the 4x6 stamp set that Jamie designed for me to go with the theme of this collection. Some of these elements are really fun and work really well with the Easy Wonder dies. For example, this airmail stamp here, you can actually use the postage cancellation. It fits right inside there. And so it's a perfect cut. So Jamie designed that so that it works perfectly. This little stamp might be one of my favorites in here because this and that can probably fit really nicely into your smallest little postage design element from the main die. So lots of fun little elements here. And then that wraps up the physical products that are available for purchase at the Not Too Shabby shop. So on to something really new and different for me. I am making available on my website, which is lvhandcrafted.com, printables. So you can now buy and download PDF files, print them out at home as many times as you want, and craft with them. I already have a few collections that are already on my website. Releasing this month will be the cute dragon, and I'll show you the other dragon set that I have. But let me first tell you what this whole collection is all about. I want to actually start with this one here. This is a PDF that I am calling the Easy Guide version. The Easy Guide version has been designed and tailored to be used with my main Easy Wonder die and the add-on die set. So what I've done is I've taken a gorgeous design that could be used as beautiful 6x6 pattern paper, and then I've added these images right in the middle of them. It looks really unusual, it looks really odd, but it's been designed that way so that you can die cut this with the main Easy Wonder die, And what you would get is this right here lands right where the postage grid is. And each of these designs lands where the die actually cuts out fun little postage stamp designs that you can layer right back onto your postage grid. So you have a specifically designed pattern paper here that gives you all of your components. You've got your postage grid background, you've got your little postage stamp designs, and right here, these actually line up with the extra elements that you can use to make that second card sketch. And by the way, included in the second card sketch is actually one of these smallest of the stamp designs, because these three actually fit in these two grid locations. I've just given you an extra one so that you have an extra option. And it also turns out that if you turn this, this can fit inside of this with a matte layer from the add-on as well. Speaking of the add-on, what I've done to maximize what you get for your money, and also to maximize the paper that you'll be printing this onto, I've given you 10 additional little designs that you can use as postage stamp designs. And if you look at your postage grid, there's actually 5 grid locations. And so what I've done is given you 10 additional, in this case, dragons, and you have 2 complete sets of 5. So that's a lot of cards that you can make if you maximize your postage grid and you put a dragon on each and every one of those grid locations. Now, these designs have been specifically scaled and clipped so that I can maximize what I can give you on a sheet. You can, when you print this out, maximize the designs that you get when you go to print, and use your Easy Wonder die number 3 add-on die set to cut out each of these additional elements or designs here. That's if you have the Easy Wonder dies. What if you don't have the Easy Wonder dies? I'm totally cool if the Easy Wonder dies are not something for you. I have designed some PDF files that you might be interested in. So these are what I'm calling extras as part of the collection. So this is my cute dragon collection. And what I've done is in the extras, I took the 10 dragons. So the 10 designs that I included here as extras, I've actually split them into 2 sets of 5. So these still actually are sized and are the right combination to fill a postage grid. And what I've done is, instead of clipping this off, I've given you the full image. This way, you can craft with it however you'd like. If you don't have the Easy Wonder dies, then you can just fussy cut these out, or use something like your brother Scan and Cut to cut them out, and you can use them as is. And so you might notice, for example, this one has this cute dragon that breaks out of the frame, but I've clipped him off entirely here. And that's because once you die cut this using the add-on die, you're not going to see that portion anymore. And so I've clipped the image so that I can fit more designs onto the Easy Guide version. But for crafters who want some versatility, want to use some of these images but in different ways, I've given you these extra prints that have the full design. And then that way you can decide, even if you are using the Easy Wonder dies, you can decide to clip them and crop them in a different way if you want. You could use a different size die if you want, because some of these images are larger, and so you can always take a smaller die and cut them out. Maybe you have dies in your own stash that you want to use to cut them out instead. So the freedom and flexibility is yours with these extra prints. And as well, I've given you 2 different backgrounds here. So I haven't added anything that is specific to the Easy Wonder dies for these extra prints. but you can still use your Easy Wonder dies here. This is large enough that your Easy Wonder die will fit. And the beauty of having it be just this large section here is that you can also twist and turn and rotate your Easy Wonder die in whatever way that you want. So if you want a landscape oriented postage grid, you can do that. If you want a portrait oriented postage grid, you can do that. Whereas what I have designed for the Easy Guide version, it always has to be cut in this exact same way because these images need to line up with very specific locations on the main die. Now, different and unique to the cute dragon is a third extra, and that's because there were so many dragons in this set. I just could not say no to any of them, so I wanted to use them all. So you have an extra set of 5 different dragons and a third background, and that's something that's unique at the moment to the cute dragon, which is releasing today along with the fantasy dragon set. So these cards I have shown before, but if you want to see some examples of how I've used the printable on some cards, I'll just quickly flip through these. This dragon set is available on my website now as well. So these dragons are the newest release for the Easy Postage Printables, and this is a first for me. Really excited. I'm learning a lot about how to put these together. Some of them are AI generated, like these dragons. Some of them are from a commercial license that I have to Creative Fabrica, where I've actually combined multiple different elements with my own art to create actually that's how I put these together, because the dragons are from one file, the background that you see behind them are from another file, and then the postage grid frames are from me, and I've composed and put them all together. So some of the images are sourced and I can just use them as they are. Some of them take a little bit of work compiling and creating a composition for, and some of them are going to be AI generated. So I am learning a ton. I also have an SVG stencil on my website. If you want to check it out, it only has these 2 elements of the Easy Postage Grid and Border set of physical stencils that you get from the Not Too Shabby shop. So my SVG file only has these 2 elements here. So that's available on my website as well. So that is an overview of all of the products, the physical products, the digital products, the masterclass. Now I want to actually dive in even deeper and show you a closer look at some of these components. When we look at the main Easy Wonder die, this is what this die will cut out for you. You've got your postage grid, and then you have a lot of elements down here that look like a random collection of small rectangles and squares. And then you've got your a stitched banner here, which looks like a little bit of an oddball, but it's just another design component, another design element that you can use to create with. Now, these are sized very specifically so that you can actually layer them on top of the postage grid and have some really fun little design elements right on top of that grid. And so I'll show you a couple more examples. These 2 actually follow the sketch on the back pretty well. So this is using one of my Easy Postage Printables, where in one pass you get the grid and you get the little postage stamp designs that you can layer right back on. And here I've used that banner here. The extra pieces go down here. One of these extra pieces is a postage stamp design, and so instead of using it in this corner, I've actually used it as part of my focal image. That's using my printable, but what if you're using pattern paper? So the Not Too Shabby shop has some gorgeous pattern papers. I made this set during the masterclass. So you'll see, if you get the masterclass, you'll see how I made these, how I came to the decision of choosing this particular pattern paper. This one in particular I really loved because it's got a full scene already. So all I did was I took the postage grid, that's this right here, and I just layered it on top of some more pattern paper and stamped a sentiment, and that's it. It's just gorgeous on its own, just like that. So that was one card. Now, since I already used the postage grid that came out of that single sheet of 6x6 pattern paper, what I did was I took the layering components here and I layered them onto solid color cardstock, or in this case, craft card. And I stamped my sentiment here and added a bit of ephemera there. So that really helps to kind of stretch your components a little bit by throwing in a little bit of solid color cardstock. So now I've got 2 cards from still a single sheet of 6x6 pattern paper and lots of design elements left. I made this card, which is this sketch but turned. So instead of making a portrait oriented card, I just turned it and made it landscape instead. And so, as I mentioned, one of the elements that you would normally layer into this corner, it actually makes for a really fun little postage stamp design. So I used it like that. And with this postage grid, instead of keeping it all together like this, I just tore those stamps apart. And then I use a sentiment that's from that's been stamped out from the stamp set that was actually part of that month's kit of the month. And that finished up my 3rd card. So whether you're crafting with pattern paper or you're using my digital printables, this is a really fun die to work with. Now you can get some different looks. This is what it looks like if you were to just layer the components that the die cuts out right back on top. So you can see you can have a nice wide border there. But if you like your layers, you can always add an additional frame around your little postage stamp designs. It really helps it to stand out a little bit better, especially if you're using a nice contrasting color. And so those little mats are actually from the add-on die. So here, everything in neon green came from the original main die, and what you see in white is actually from the add-on. So an example of that is this card here that I showed a little bit earlier, where you can see that iridescent cardstock. That's the add-on die that will cut out that additional mat or frame. And then I used my May Easy Postage Printable, and that got me the postage grid design and as well the fun, darling little stamped designs that I layered right back on top of those mats. And I used the add-on die to cut out a sentiment that's also part of the printables that I release. So that's an example of how you can kind of combine the main die and the add-on die to create some different looks, to create some additional mats and layers. And depending on whether you would like to see a smaller border or you like to have a little bit of a wider border, you can choose to add the mats, or you can just use those elements on their own. Even if you use it on their own, the postage grid does still have that lovely stitch border detail right inside there. So that's a look at a couple different ways that you can create some different looks with that postage grid. Now, the add-on die on its own is pretty wonderful. So you do have these 4 rectangles and the square there. Those are what gives you the mats and the frames that coordinate with your main Easy Wonder die, but there's lots of other components besides. So you have this Happy Mail sentiment, which is really lovely. It's got the bubble layer or the shadow layer behind it, and then you can layer on top this little mini envelope, which also is layered. So that's also a two-piece layered element. And so you can create something like this where you can build up your sentiment and build up that little envelope as well. There's the little airplane that you can cut out, and as well a postage cancellation die, which I mentioned earlier coordinates with one of the stamps in the special delivery stamp set that Jamie designed. So you've got a lot of different elements there to craft with, but that's not all, because also included with the add-on are these two dies here. And these ones actually cut out a little flight path. So it's just some stitch detailing that lets you actually cut a little sweet little design that you can use as a flight path for your airplane, for anything really. If you have bees that you want to have like a little bit of a flight path, you could do that. And what's fun is there's actually not just the swoop with the heart, but there's also a second one that spells out the word hi. And there's the swoop with the heart. So you have two options there. But the die that I think might be my favorite die out of this collection is this one right here. This die will cut out a postage stamp border, and that's going to allow you to custom cut your own postage frames to whatever size that you need. So with some limitations if you want it to be really precise and everything to line up perfectly. But I was able to cut this postage shaped card using this die. And I created these custom frames for this ephemera piece also using this die. Now, in the masterclass, if you do choose to get the masterclass, module number 3 is where I show you how to do this exactly. All the tips and tricks to getting this to perfectly cut evenly every single time. And you can also do some fun things like this, where I've just cut this panel on 2 edges to have this really fun little asymmetric design. So that is the add-on die. And as I mentioned, it does give you layers for your main die, which are plain so that if you don't want the postage theme and the postage stamp borders, you don't necessarily have to always craft with it in the postage theme. You can just use these as just regular design elements that you can create fun different layouts with. So one of the things that I like to do is just this really fun random geometric pattern. Here are a couple of examples of that. So I've taken a lot of those squares and rectangles that the main die cuts out, and I've just positioned them kind of randomly to create a little bit of a fun background on these cards. Just a different way to use these. You don't always have to have that postage theme if you don't want. So that's a close-up look at our main Easy Wonder die and the add-on die set. And just to show you a couple more examples before we move on to the stencil, one of the ways I really like to craft with the Easy Wonder dies in general is to cut it out of multiple different pattern papers. Now in this case, I only cut it out of 2 pattern papers, but most or a lot of pattern papers are actually double-sided. And so one of the things that you can do is you can always flip to the back of your pattern papers to have an additional design to kind of throw into the mix. So this red plaid, I think this is actually the back of that. And the green and white polka dot, this is the back of that paper. So when you are following along with your sketch here, one of the things that you can do is flip to the back and you can always layer those elements right on top of that same piece. Now, I also like to cut out of solid color cardstock this postage grid. It just helps you to kind of stretch your elements a little bit and give you another option to layer, especially since a lot of times I don't actually fill every single grid location with one of these little postage stamp design elements. And so here you can kind of see this one, I've used 4 elements, and for this one, I just used some white that was cut with this and put my sentiment and my focal image there. And I did the same here. So on this one, I only used 3 elements from the main die in pattern paper, and I used 2 white spots, one for my focal image, one for my sentiment. And then here I did actually use, in each of the 5 different grid locations, I did actually use 5 pieces of pattern paper. But that's how you can kind of mix and match things a little bit and stretch those components a little bit further to create some different looks. And so that's just a fun way to craft with the main Easy Wonder dies. So now that we've had a look at our main die, our add-on die, we've looked at a little bit, we've seen some examples of both of those. What about the stencil? The stencil is a first for me. This was the first stencil set that I've ever designed, and it was a lot of fun. It started by me actually creating the SVG file for myself so that I can actually stencil into this postage grid and create some backgrounds. And so you might have caught on my channel earlier, I showed you how to use the SVG version, and in that tutorial I showed how I made this card, but I showed this one as a sample. So you can stencil with the physical stencil the same background. There's 2 options. One that lets you stencil all the way to the stitch border detailing like I've done on these 2. Or you can use the other stencil in the set, and instead of stenciling all the way to the border, what you can do is you can stencil just inside the border. So here are a couple of examples that show that. And so here, what I've done is I've actually used it, lined it up with my postage grid, but because the add-on die was designed to layer on top of the postage grid, you can use these stencils to stencil an inky background for the add-on die too. And I did combine it in this case with the postage grid that I just tore apart, which I find separating the individual postage stamps really easy to do by just tearing. This card I made live, just a lot of fun, just did a fun little inky background there. And that was got a lot of the different stamps from the special delivery stamp. So that was a lot of fun. So that is our background component right here. Then since I already have the samples out, this design, and again, this is a set of 2 stencils. So what you see in pink is one stencil. What you see in teal is the second stencil. And so with the polka dot design, you can layer that onto your other stencil and actually stencil a little bokeh effect into each of those backgrounds if you want. I did it with white here. I did it with color here, which I thought was kind of fun. And as well, if you prefer, you can also just stencil a fun little polka dot pattern and just use it by itself if you want outside of the grid. So that's an option. Also, here's another sample that I showed earlier. This is just one color, and you can just do a little bit of inking to create a little bit of a vignette where you've got a little bit of a spotlight in the center. So those are just a couple few options with our background portion and the polka dot portion. What about this last design here? So that last design lets you actually stencil the classic airmail pattern on an A2 card. So what you'll notice is that the design only actually has two edges, the long edge and the short edge of your A2. But the cool thing about getting the physical stencil that I can't put into my SVG is that the stencil is actually engraved, and so it actually will show you on the stencil where you see that black line, there's going to be an engraved line, and it has all of the lettering too, so that you can actually know how to line up your A2 panel so that you can stencil two edges to start, and then you would rotate your stencil so that you can get the other two in a second pass. So really fun, easy way to create that classic airmail border. So this is just a couple of examples where I've made some cards using that design. So I've really tried to give you as many design elements as I could fit onto this stencil because it's your standard 6x6 stencil. It started, the idea originated from wanting to stencil a background into the postage grid, but to give you the most value for money and maximize the what you can do with these stencils, I added these additional design components so that you have some different borders and some different ways to kind of fill your grid. So that is the stencil. So that's a look at all of the products that I designed. And of course, the special delivery stamp set is really easy to craft with. There's some components that are great all year long. There's even holiday here. You've got some summer themed items here. And of course, travel is really great for any time of year. And then there's some really great sentiments that you can use, which I think are really usable for any occasion, any time of year. So that is a look at all of the physical products. And then I just want to show you some samples of different cards that I've put together using my printables. So I've got Mermaid as a collection. And so this is a few different cards featuring Mermaid and some sentiments that I have as a additional PDF that you can download. This was a card that I made during a Crafty Fun live stream. We have Beach Babes. I showed these cards earlier. That's a fun collection for the summer. And Easy Wonder Die number 3 comes out on Father's Day. And so I did create a Father's Day collection. And so I have a couple cards featuring Father's Day. That's the only one that I can find right now. So, but I do have other samples. Oh, here we go. So there's another Father's Day sample and another one here. So we've got a couple Father's Day cards. So all of these are already out and ready for you to download and craft with. This one's coming out this month. So we have the Fantasy Dragons. I've created a lot of cards with these. So fun to craft with. And I showed you the cute dragons. This is also coming out at the same time. I don't have any samples just yet made with that. Then I also have some samples of Christmas cards coming up. I showed you a little sneaky peek of some of these. This will be a little sneaky peek of a class that I'm teaching later. And so we've got those. And I think I sneaky peeked also this, which is a second Christmas collection. So you've got some cute critters for Christmas and a more vintage Christmas. So lots of really fun designs. I have even more in the mix ready to go, and some that are designed and just need to be tested. And so I've got a lot of different ideas for even more of the easy postage printables. Plus, a lot of you have given me some really great ideas as well, because I asked for suggestions. And so I have a great long list of suggestions. If you want to add some suggestions to the mix, just expand the description box below. I'm going to leave a link so that if you want, you can just fill out the form and give me some more suggestions, whatever you'd like to see. I can't promise that I'll make everything that's been suggested, but I do love hearing what you want to see. And so one other special card that I made was a light up card. So this is another really fun card. So Easy Wonder dies don't have to be just for layered cards with lots of, fun layers and mats and images, but you can make interactive cards as well. And I even flipped my earlier Easy Wonder dies 1 and 2 in a masterclass series. So that's available on my website also. So that is a look at a lot of card samples, a lot of different ideas, different layouts that you can create with these dies, and the stencil, the stamp set, everything goes so beautifully together. So if you are interested in picking up this collection or just parts of the collection or my digital releases, I'm going to leave links to everything in the description box below so that you can check it all out and join the Easy Wonder Inspiration Facebook group if you want to see even more inspiration from our amazing Easy Wonder family, and all of the crafters who have it are welcome to join and share what you've made with it. I also have an Easy Wonder inspiration playlist. So whenever I come across a video, and if you put out a video where you've crafted with the Easy Wonder dies, tag me at LV Handcrafted so that I can see it and I can add it to that playlist, because that playlist is not just about me sharing inspiration that I've created, but it's also about collecting inspiration from other designers who have crafted with and shared their process for using the Easy Wonder dies. And that's one of the things that I really love seeing. I love watching Christy Marcotte share her process of crafting with the Easy Wonder dies. Carrie has posted some videos, and I love seeing her process as well. So it's really wonderful. I always learn something every time I see somebody else's video. So if you have made a video that shares your process for how you craft with any of the Easy Wonder dies, just tag me so that I can see what you've made and I can add your video to the inspiration playlist for everybody else to check out. Thanks for watching my video today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments below. And as I mentioned, I'll leave links to everything so you can get a closer look at everything yourself. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.